world never sleeps, neither does the news. From the boardrooms to the streets and then to local stories that hit home, there is always something shaping our day. And that's exactly why we're here. Good morning and welcome to Beyond the Headlines on Baramatu Voice TV, reaching you live from the Niger Delta Media Center here in Ogunu, Warri, Delta State. This is where we serve you hottest headlines, most intriguing conversations, and hot takes on the news that matters. I am super excited to be here today, Tuesday, the 18th day of March 2025. But I'm not here alone. As usual, I've got my co-host looking all beautiful this morning.
Yes, good morning to you all. This is a Beyond the Headlines. Bershalo is my name, and we are excited to have you on this program this morning. Good morning to you, Agago.
Yeah, so we have a whole lot to unpack for you this morning. We're going to be talking about the Rivers crisis and the judiciary, talking about the impeachment, and that's so much more. But before we go further, do well to engage on all our social media platforms, like, share, comment, and we want you to get involved, tell us your takes on all of these issues. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, on Gbaramatu Voice. And for more information and more news stories, please go to our website at www.gbaramatuvoicenews.com.
All right. Quickly before we go into full business of the day, it is very paramount. It's our tradition to welcome our viewers, our audience on this wonderful program. Yes, if this is your first time on this program, this is Beyond the Headlines, where we take you beyond the news, giving you in-depth analysis, insight, and perspective that matters. All right. Quickly. Virtue Vincent, thank you for being with us. Thank you for staying tuned on this wonderful program. Ukpong, thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining. Miss Peace, thank you for joining this wonderful program. Happy, thank you for joining. Ben Abigail, thank you for being with us on this wonderful show. If this is your first time, like I've said earlier, this is Beyond the Headlines, where we take you beyond the news. We give you news regarding our nation and the Niger Delta region. Yes, Davies, thank you for being with us. And please, as this conversation is ongoing, we want to see your contributions. We want to see your comments on the program, as we will be deliberating so much today. All right, Amaku, thank you for joining. Amaku is saying, why won't he survive? Is that place his father's organization? All right, that is a comment from Amaku. Oluwole Alimi, thank you for joining. Thank you for being with us. Waya's Blessing, thank you for joining. God's Will, thank you for joining. All right, quickly let's go into the details
Business
of
the
today.
day. Thank you so much, Best. Yeah, we begin with a breaking news from Rivers State, where a massive explosion has rocked the Trans-Niger pipeline at Bodo, Gokana local government area. The affected section of this critical crude oil export pipeline is currently engulfed in flames. The cause of the explosion remains unclear at this time, but authorities are investigating the possibility of sabotage. This comes amid rising tensions in Rivers State, particularly after recent threats by militant groups following the federal government's decision to withhold the state's allocation due to the ongoing political crisis. The explosion reportedly occurred late Monday, affecting the pipeline that transport crude oil to the Bonny terminal, one of Nigeria's major oil export routes. Emergency response teams are currently assessing the extent of the damage, while security agencies have been deployed to the scene.
All right, okay. News are making it to our headlines today. Rivers Assembly moves to impeach Governor Fubara cites gross misconduct. The Rivers State House of Assembly has initiated impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, citing allegations of gross misconduct. A formal notice signed by 26 lawmakers and addressed to Speaker Martin Amowule accuses Fubara of reckless expenditure of public funds, obstructing the functions of the State Assembly, making key appointments without legislative approval, withholding salaries and allowances of the Assembly and its clerk, Emeka Amadi. His deputy, Ngozi Odu, is also accused of supporting these appointments without proper legislative oversight. Speaker Amewule formally notified the governor, stating that these allegations meet the constitutional threshold under Section 188 of the 99 Constitution. Fubara has 14 days to respond, after which the Assembly would decide whether to proceed with an investigation. The impeachment crisis is the latest in a political feud between Fubara and his former allies. All right, moving forward. Rivers government rejects impeachment, calls it a political distraction. The Rivers State government has dismissed the impeachment attempt, stating that no formal communication has been made to the governor regarding the allegations. Speaking in Port Harcourt, Commissioner for Information and Communication, Barrister Joseph Johnson, criticized the Assembly for allegedly obstructing governance. He accused lawmakers of worsening hardship for civil servants and pensioners due to the state withheld allocation. He also defended Fubara's directive for local government chairmen to hand over to the administrative heads in compliance with the Supreme Court judgments. The Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission has scheduled fresh elections for August 9, 2025. This marks the second impeachment attempt against Fubara. The facts on October 30, 2023 led to violent clashes, the burning of the Assembly complex, and its eventual demolition. Fubara later alleged an assassination attempt involving police gunfire during the chaos.
Thank you very much for that. Moving forward, police dismissed report of attack on Wike's residence as false. The Rivers State Police Command has denied reports that the Port Harcourt home of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, was attacked or set ablaze. Nigeria's inflation rate drops to 23.18% in February. According to the NBS, Nigeria's inflation rate recorded its second consecutive decline, dropping to 23.18% in February from 24.48% in January. This raises hopes for easing price pressures amid economic challenges.
All right, thank you for that wonderful one, Agogo. Moving forward, reverse impeachment. Chief Judge's role in setting up panel faces legal uncertainty. Following the impeachment notice against Governor Fubara and his deputy, the focus has shifted to the Rivers State Chief Judge, who is required by law to form an investigative panel. However, reports suggest that the Chief Judge is currently on vacation, leading to legal uncertainty. Some lawyers argue that an acting Chief Judge may not be qualified to set up the panel. Constitutional lawyer President Agbo Khan contends that only a substantive Chief Judge can establish the panel and that the Assembly should first set up an internal committee to invite the governor before involving the judiciary. Cost of living improves as declining food prices push inflation lower. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) reports that food prices and logistics costs have eased, contributing to the drop in inflation from 24.48% in January to 23.18% in February.
Yes, thank you very much for that. APC slams El-Rufai for demarketing Tinubu's government. The All Progressive Congress, APC, has criticized former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai for allegedly attempting to undermine President Bola Tinubu's administration. APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka urged El-Rufai to stop sulking and reaffirmed the party's commitment to its founding values. Dangote accuses Ogun Governor Amosun of demolishing cement plants. Dangote Group President Aliko Dangote has accused the former Ogun State Governor Ibekunle Amosun of demolishing his cement plant project in Itori, Iwekoro local government area twice. The project, which began construction on December 23, 2023, is expected to be completed in November 2026.
All right, moving forward. Wike revokes 4,794 land titles over 40-year ground rent default. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has approved the revocation of 4,794 land titles due to non-payment of ground rent for more than 40 years. Authorities revealed that 8,375 property owners in high-end areas such as Central Area, Gaki, Wuse, Asokoro, Maitama, and Guzape have failed to pay rent in the past 43 years. Moving forward, Tinubu appoints Bishop Kukar as Pro-Chancellor of Kaduna's Federal University. President Bola Tinubu has appointed Catholic Bishop Matthew Kukar as Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kashia, Kaduna State. The appointment was announced by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy.
Lagos APC, PDP clash over Jando's defection to ruling party. The All Progressive Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Lagos State are at odds over the defection of PDP's 2023 governorship candidate Abdul Aziz Olajide Adediran Jandor to the ruling APC. While the PDP dismissed his exit as insignificant, claiming he was planted to weaken the party, the APC welcomed him, saying his return is a boost to the party. SGF George Akume distances himself from PS EFCC investigation. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, George Akume, has denied involvement in the investigation of his personal assistant, Andrew Uchi, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Uchi is reportedly being detained over allegations of corruption, bribery, and money laundering amounting to approximately 10 billion naira.
Court clashes in Ogun leave 4 dead. Renewed court clashes between the Eye and Aye confraternities in Alogi, Somorin, and Obantako areas of Ogun State has resulted in 4 deaths. The violent confrontations on Saturday saw targeted attacks and reprisals between the rival court group. Delta Police arrests suspected gun runner with 7 pump-action guns. The Delta State Police Command has arrested a suspected gun runner from Kaduna while transporting 7 pump-action rifles concealed in a vehicle along the Benin-Asaba Expressway. According to an interrogation video shared by Delta Police PR Bright Edafe, several rounds of ammunition were also recovered.
Yes, the next story here says Asake reconciles with ailing father, promises new home and medical support. Nigerian Afrobeat star Ahmed Ololade, popularly known as Asake, has reconciled with his ailing father, who previously accused him of abandonment. The singer has promised to support his father with a new home and medical care. Diezani Alison Madueke sues EFCC to stop auction of seized properties. Former Minister of Petroleum Resources Diezani Alison Madueke has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking to stop the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC from selling off her confiscated properties. Through her lawyer, Chief Mike Ozekume-san, she urges that the EFCC obtain forfeiture against her asset through mispresentation and without serving her any legal charges. She is asking the courts to compel the EFCC to retrieve any properties that have already been sold. The agency has commenced an auction of assets linked to her in 2023.
All right, coming from the Gbaramatu Voice editorial. Yes, dark clouds over rivers. Who will save the state? The political turmoil in Rivers State has reached a boiling point, exposing the dangerous grip of godfatherism on Nigeria's democracy. The question before the people of Rivers State, and indeed all Nigerians, is this: did Governor Siminalayi Fubara win the 2023 election to serve the people or to serve one man? The ongoing crisis makes it painfully obvious that the ongoing crisis make it painfully obvious that former governor and current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, still sees Rivers State as his personal estate, refusing to let go even after leaving office. From the moment Fubara assumed office, his every move has been scrutinized, dictated, and undermined by a political godfather who insists on pulling the strings from Abuja. Rivers State is being held hostage by a battle for control, one that is entirely unnecessary if the principle of democracy and governance are to be respected. A governor is elected to lead and not to serve as a puppet to his predecessor. Wike's refusal to step aside and allow Fubara to govern in peace is an insult to the mandates given to him by the people of Rivers State. The latest twist in this crisis, the impeachment attempt against Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu by 26 lawmakers loyal to Wike, is a well-orchestrated plot to either remove the governor from the office or force him into absolute submission. This is not governance. This is not democracy. This is pure political desperation by forces that cannot accept that their time in power has ended. But this is not just a political fight. It is an attack on the will of the people. The citizens of Rivers State voted for Fubara, not Wike. They voted for progress, not chaos. Yet, instead of focusing on development, infrastructure, and governance, the state has been plunged into a cycle of crisis, blackmail, and political maneuvering. It is important to remind Wike and his loyalists that Rivers State belongs to the people, not to a single individual. The state is one of the wealthiest in Nigeria, with the second highest allocation after Lagos, the highest allocation from the 13% oil derivation revenue, and the second largest VAT allocation. With such resources, Rivers should be leading in development, industrialization, and economic growth. Instead, its political leadership is being consumed by one man's obsession with control. Enough is enough. Wike must step back and allow Fubara to govern. The people of Rivers did not elect a shadow governor operating from Abuja. They elected Siminalayi Fubara, and he must be allowed to fulfill his mandate without intimidation, sabotage, or political blackmail. If Wike truly cares about the states, he must realize that his interference is causing more harm than good. It is time to move on. The people of Rivers State must also rise against this injustice. They must refuse to be pawns in a selfish political game. History has shown that no leader, no matter how powerful, can suppress the will of the people forever. Wike must choose whether he wants to be remembered as a statesman who contributed to Rivers' progress or as a desperate godfather who could not let go. Nigeria's democracy cannot afford to continue down this path where former leaders refuse to relinquish power using every means possible to stay relevant. The federal government and all well-meaning Nigerians must condemn this growing trend of political hostage taking. The presidency must not stand idle by while Rivers State is turned into a battlefield for ego or personal ambition. Governor Fubara must be given the space to govern. The people of Rivers deserve peace, stability, and progress, not endless political strife. The time for manipulation and control is over. It is time to let Rivers State breathe. That is coming from the Gbaramatu Voice editorial.
All right, thank you so much. So right now we go into the story of the day, and we are focusing on the Rivers political crisis, and now with the Rivers State House of Assembly moving for the impeachment of Fubara, who is the governor of Rivers State, on talking on alleged gross misconduct, talking about reckless expenditure of public
making
funds,
appointments
obstructing
without
the
legislative
and
approval.
of course obstructing the functions of the state assembly. What's the take on all of this? Where exactly are we in solving all of this? And that's why we'll have our guest who will be talking more on it, in the person of Comrade Sheriff Mulade, who is a human and environmental rights activist. He is the best person to do justice to this topic today. So while we'll stay on the line to put him through.
All right, we're having our guest on here, Sinest, person of Chief Sheriff Mulade.
Yes, so still talking about the Rivers political crisis and the impeachment, and now the State Assembly moving for the impeachment. The government, on the other hand, are also rejecting the impeachment.
Right.
Yes, okay, I think he's on the... Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This is Beyond the Headlines on GbaramatuVoiceTV, sir. Hello, sir, and I'm sure I'm speaking with Comrade Sheriff Mulade, sir.
By the grace of God, yes.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, we're still talking about... Yes, we're talking about Rivers political crisis, and now there is a breaking news talking about the pipeline explosion in Rivers State. Do you think this is coming from a place of threat of the militants who said that if the federal allocations is not released to Rivers State, there will be explosions? Or do you think this is just coming from is it just a coincidence? What do you think about that, sir?
Well, first and foremost, the current political family crisis in Rivers State is unnecessary, is uncalled for, is unbelievable, is unimaginable. However, politics have different dynamics and dimension, as well as its negative impacts on the society and the people in general. Now, this has been there for like a year plus, and with the recent move and the hard boss of the self-acclaimed political godfather to all, have generated a lot of concern and worry. And cautions has also been given for political office holders. Their utterances need to be extremely managed, irrespective of your hunger. And it went further in a way by insulting, embarrassing, and undermining the Ijaw ethnic nationality at some point, which I think trying to give some facelifts, and by also trying to say some certain words again, trying to rebrandish. But however, they have left the cat out of the bag. So those issues are also there. Now, of course, we also saw yesterday where the current speaker, led by Martins Anwule and his other colleagues, co-travelers, have also proceed, as we may call it in politics, has started a procession in all the name of proposed plan impeachment of Governor Fubara. We try to see all these as internal issues within themselves, but since they couldn't manage it, you have snowballed into a national issues. Now, politics has no ethnic coloration. Politics has no sentiment. But in the Nigeria context, because the nation, political leaders have designed it in a way that for politics in Nigeria, there is ethnic coloration, there is different dimension to it. And that have led to where we are. And that is why you see that the Fubara ethnic nationality, the Jaws, have been able to say that Fubara is our son, and the way you are going around it, despite the fact it's your political godson, is intimidation, is intimidating. And we as a people will not accept that or tolerate that. That is the reaction from the Ijaw ethnic nationality that led to his public embarrassment, public insult, public assault on both those alive and those who have gone to see their grandfathers. Measuring even our be coincident, it may be as a result of corrosion or eruption from the pipe. You cannot say it's as a result of that. However, the federal government must intervene. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a youth president. He's an elderly president. He's a president of over about 80 years or over 80 years. I know because of political age, I cannot be specific now. But he's a president of that range. And he's a father to all these governor, former governor, all the ones ranting everywhere. They're all his younger brothers and younger children, and is a leader for Nigeria. Nigeria is a nation of over 250 million. And if you are privy and opportune to be the president of this country, I think you need to bring all his arsenal of leadership. You need to deploy all his arsenals of understanding as a father, not taking side, irrespective of political affiliation. Even if he needs, as administration may say, that even if he needs his re-election bid in 2027, Rivers State cannot deliver him. So if somebody is promising that if I am become the governor, or if I do this, I will deliver River State for you. No, it is not the governor that will deliver. He has only one vote. And even if it's from his word, from his own word, he cannot, you can only force the us to the river, but you can't force him to drink the water. So even the governor, the sitting governor, cannot force his constituency, neither his own ward, neither his local government, to completely say this is that. So the president shouldn't see it from political perspective. If he wants the vote of Rivers, he should play some level of diplomacy, because well, the Wike have said, I think he was not quote out of context, but he mistakenly say that he's just a minority of the minority. So that is laughable. However, he knew that without his jaws, he will never become governor. Never in history. He will never. Equity have only 4 local government. He just have about over 10 local government. So I don't see. So that is why even in my own advice and caution is that equaries are the closest neighbor to the jaws, and the jaws are the strongest partner to the queries. So whatever the query need, they need the jaws to excel in River State and any other ethnic group. Every other ethnic group, the maximum local government they have is 4, but the jaws have 10 and above. So the jaws may not need you. If the jaws want to work, they may not need your 4 or your 3 local government. The Ogonis ask for, the queries ask for, and she has 2. So if they may not need you, Ogba Igbe Mandoni have 1. The Ekpeyo have 2, and even one of the 2 won't belong to the jaws. So the Ekpeyo have only 1. So we all know the history of River State. We all know the creation, the process for the creation of River State. These are all born out of the consistent pressure, the consistent agitation for development. Since before the independence, the Jaws have been at the forefront of agitating for development of the Niger Delta. Before independence and post-independence, they have still been there, and we are still fighting as a people for the development. And when opportunity comes, look at the development that has been spread in the Niger Delta. Most of them are cited in the upland, in spite of all the agitation from the riverine communities. Because of what we always say, because of the terrain. So these developments are cited in the upland. And the jaws, that has also depleted the population of the jaws, because everybody is migrating from the to the city. For what? For education. For what? For good health. So if you go to the riverine communities, they look like hut, because everybody has relocated to the city. So that does not give the people in the city that the Jaws are minority, because even in time of election, they cannot transfer themselves back to the village to go and vote. With this modern process of voting, everybody has changed his voter's card to his closest location. So it depletes the Jaws. And with what has happened, it has sent a strong warning, a strong sign to people that across those in Delta, across those in Ondo, across those in Akwa Ibom, and every other part, that you must go back home. Because look at the public insult that the Jaw are still struggling and can never be governor in Akwa Ibom, can never be governor in Edo, can never be governor in Delta. I try to imagine that kind of public insult to over 40 million people. Over 40 million. Perspective. I'm only speaking from this sentimental end, because as an Ijaw man, my father is Ijaw, my grandmother is Ijaw, my grandfather is Ijaw, my generation is Ijaw. So for somebody to say the Ijaw is nothing, I mean, you have insulted my descendants, my ancestors. Sir. That is the annoyance. Even though we don't have problem with Wike, we appreciate him as one of our former governor. For me, I still in Port Harcourt with him for many years. Before he became Ubiakpo local government chairman, before he became chief of staff at Mishi, we all in Port Harcourt. He stays opposite me. He stays in Adajot. I stayed in Shinda. We stayed opposite. We know very close. So we all, you two grew up in Port Harcourt. But today, if he is privy and opportune to be where he is, that does not give him the impetus to insult everybody. For me, I don't bother about their political, but he shouldn't extend it by insulting an entire nation. That
Okay,
is
thank
entire
you
group.
very
That
much,
is our
sir.
concern.
Yes, sir. Now, going forward, following the impeachment attempt by the Rivers State House of Assembly, do you think this is coming from a place of, are they legally correct to do that, or is it political maneuvering?
Well, law has no sentiment. An ignorant of law cannot be an excuse. By the democracy we practice in Nigeria today, the House of Assembly has the right legally to carry out an impeachment process if they deem it necessary with unconvincing evidence and facts before the public, devoid of political manipulation, devoid of political sentiment, devoid of political undertone. They have the right to do that. However, in this current trend in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, we can see the hand of Esau in all this process. And the former governor and the current FCT minister have said it in his outburst that if the House of Assembly can impeach him, heaven will not fall, nothing will happen. And even after saying that, in less than 72 hours, the script that has been handed over is beginning to be displayed. So, Fubara is a peace-loving young man, and he also knew that he has been used in the past to shade off a lot of dirty deeds by the immediate past administration. And if not that FCT minister is privy and opportune to be an FCT minister today, he will be running scatter. Maybe FCC and ICPC may be after him. But of course, he has found his way, according to Nigerian politics, meander his way into the current administration for a cover-up. And he now have the impetus to say the current governor should be terminated to enable him put another stooge. The governor came in as a stooge, and if today they even impeach him, he will leave as a stooge. But history will not be fair to all those who intend to, because of their political interest, because of their personal interest, beyond the over 5 million people in Rivers State. So that way, so for us, what I see is that this is politics, and these are the games, the intrigues in politics. So it has nothing to do with ethnic sentiment. It has nothing to do with the law. The law will take its course. But like I earlier said, the ethnic embarrassment is the concern in this matter. It's just the ethnic embarrassment. Because you will recall that in 2014, Jonathan Goodluck was the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who was also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, has all the powers to do and undo. But he was a very disciplined, very honest, very sincere person and leader who emerged through opportunity. And so he didn't see himself as a politician. He didn't see himself as a do-or-die affair. And in the eyes of him, clearly, and Nigerians, he was frustrated and rigged out when he has all the opportunity to do what he needs to do if he want to follow the Nigerian pattern of politics. Thousands could have gone. Nigeria may have been in chaos, but he said, my ambition does not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And he gave up. Today he's living well. He's the leader of the Niger Delta. He's the leader of the southern Nigeria. But he's a very calm and quiet person. Fubara, and Jonathan is also an Anijo man. So today Fubara happened to be the governor of Rivers State. He's also an Anijo man. He also displayed that same leadership quality, that same charisma that is a gentleman, that will tell Nigerians that Ijaw people are very peaceful, very honest, that you can work with at any time. But with what is happening, it shows that a lot of people take Ijaw people or Ijaw leaders' simplicity for granted. And when you push a certain group of people or a certain person to an end, it will fight back, and the reaction will be very negative. So if they succeeded in doing that to President of the Federal Republic, and we are seeing it this clearly again, that a River State, we're going to impeach an Ijaw governor who owns over 10 local government because of his simplicity. And tomorrow, they will do election. One Ijaw man will come from same area to say, okay, since Fubara has been impeached, let us do a by-election. Then another Ijaw people, all the party will now feature Ijaw. And then, of course, for interest, a lot of Ijaw people will come out, and they will now impose another stoosh on the Ijaw people. And it will be there, be licking the bombs of somebody else.
All right.
So the Ijaws from other areas should also learn that this is a lesson for us, and we should be careful. And this is not only in Rivers, it's everywhere, including Delta and other parts, where leaders are being imposed by the government that this is the person we want to use in this position. This is the person we want to put. Either it comes through their political uncles or political fathers or somebody. And at the end of the day, they will go there, and this is what we'll continue to experience. So a judge should allow somebody with the capacity and the competence to go, even if he require resistance, to ensure that we ensure that somebody that will go there must speak and protect the interests of the judge. We cannot continue to allow people to be imposing because of their political interest. We could come and insult all of us. Some of us are very angry because my generation in Nigeria is the judge. So for you to insult my ancestors is very, very embarrassing. But then we will take it in good faith. But my caution is that even if in data, when it comes to the turn of data, when it comes to the turn of, we shouldn't parade ourselves. We must allow the right people to go there independently, freely, so that we cannot experience this kind of embarrassment that is coming.
All right, sir. Okay, I'm still talking about the impeachment process. Now, the role of the judiciary in this. Now that the current, the chief judge is reportedly on vacation, do you think an acting chief judge can proceed with this impeachment process of Sim Fubara?
Well, for Nigeria, judiciary has been suspended. Laws are no longer in existence. The amount of resources in your possession that you can use to buy over the judiciary will determine how the judgment come, how the judiciary will play. The judiciary has played into the hands of politicians today. The judiciary has become a tool in the hand of the executive. So it is the executive that gives directive. This is how we want the judgment. So it's left for them to pick some few technocrats as legal alumni and maybe look at it and say, okay, give the judgment in this direction, create a loophole here. So for me, I don't believe that we still have a judiciary that we can say is the hope of the common man. The hope of the common man has been dashed. We have experienced it. Me too, I'm part of a lot of cases that I'm challenging some actions that I felt that there is a lot of injustice, and we couldn't get justice in the judiciary because we don't have the money to pay. Some were clearly told that if either you pay this amount or we give the judgment out. So we have seen a lot of things like that. So for this issue of whether the judge is on vacation, that whether acting judge can, in Nigeria anything is possible. And after all, the judiciary has been bought over in Abuja. Who is dictating from Abuja here? So what do you expect? So I think, but the only truth and the truth that will remain, outside sentiment, outside ethnic and religious sentiment, is that there will be no peace in Rivers State if it is not carefully managed. And it will snowball into the entire Niger Delta. And when it starts, it will continue. I know when I hear some of them say, after all, if they want to, is it not their own brother that is guiding the pipeline? So because of security surveillance contract that maybe today Tompolo is managing, because he mentioned Tompolo name and he said, is it not Tompolo that is guiding it? So because of the security surveillance contract, the judge cannot speak, the people cannot defend their right, the people cannot protect their brother. It is, I think it is a great mistake. It is a great mistake. We are peace-loving people, and we continue to promote peace. But they shouldn't play on our intelligence, and they shouldn't just because of a surveillance contract say it's their own people. Is it the only regional land that the pipeline run through? It is not only the regional land pipeline run through. Pipeline run through every other place. That if he said if we will blow up this country, then he will blow up everywhere. Enough is enough. And so, do you know who is blowing up the thing? Is it trying? So is somebody instigating people to blow up so that they use it to indict the job people? What is the explosion in Port Harcourt? Investigate thoroughly. You may see that somebody have went ahead to do it to indict the job people.
Okay, so in all of this political crisis in Rivers State, who is suffering? The politicians or the people?
Well, it's very clear that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. So, and the grass in this case is the people of Rivers State. It is the poor who are even struggling to make ends meet. In Nigeria, of course, recently it has been shown through the poverty index that over 24 million Nigerians are in abject poverty. And Rivers State is not exceptional. In spite of one of the most richest oil-rich states, suffering in Rivers State is in the face of all. So the few who are in helms of affair, who play with the treasury of the state, who don't want to give away the treasury of the state, their children are not in Nigeria. We can see them celebrating their children graduation in UK, in London, in US. So why the poor who continue to remain poor by their plan is that the time of election there will a mop of cash and distribute it through some so-called selfish leaders who will come and begin to share money. But because of the abject poverty and that myopic mindset of our followership, then we will collect that 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 for that day and voted wrongly. And that is why, if not, nobody will allow us to suffer in this manner. When you want to see a true leader, check the followers. It is the followership that produce a good leader or a bad leadership. So in Nigeria, we, the followership, we are the cause of the leadership we have in this country. So until we produce the right followership that we caution, then we can never get a right leadership.
Okay, so with this political instability now, is it now that it's going to affect the development of the people of Rivers State?
Definitely, this political instability and the conflicts will affect the development. Of course, you will see that the judiciary have placed an embargo that the local government fund should not be released to the local government. So what do you expect? Both the local government level is stagnant, then the development that the governor is carrying out is also suspended. So the governor has no fund to run the state.
So everything seems to be on hold now.
The internal IGRO.
Now, all right. Talking about this, this same river crisis and all of that. Now, Rivers State is not the first that has suffered. Sim is actually not the first person
to be
that
impeached.
Yes,
impeachment attempts.
Now, Anambra, yes, during Peter Obi's regime, even Ekiti State, Fayose also suffered same thing. Now, what does this mean? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Now, what does this mean for governance? Political stability in Nigeria as a whole.
Well, what is happening is a threat to our democracy, is a threat to our political system. Now, of course, you make reference to Anambra, where Peter Obi then were impeached, and even he won the election. Ingege was rigging and rig out again. Peter Obi took over. And today, the good thing about the Anambra in particular, during those rascality that were displayed by the political leaders of Anambra, the good people of Anambra decided to sit back. And it's okay, we were not going to vote for those from PDP, neither those from ACN, then not APC, and is it NPPP, or NNPP? They will not go to. Those were the major national parties. Then the Anambra people went back to their root and it's okay, let us project our own party. And that is the formation of ABGA. And Peter Obi here were the flag bearer and who upturned the Anambra story today. So since then, after Peter Obianom, from Obianom to Shas, so you see that the Anambra people have taken a position as Igbo people to say this is our party. Despite other areas, it's being managed by other party, but the Anambra people have freed themselves from this political chain of their own group. So now when you go to Ekiti, of course, you go to other places. Fubara will not be the first and will not be the last to be impeached in the first place. Secondly, Fubara will also be the first to overcome the impeachment process. Some impeachment processes have been started that were later maybe resolved behind the scenes and all of them. Those are also there. So, but in this case of Rivers State, the actors need to caution themselves. They need to think for the people. You cannot say, I want to be a leader, whereas the people you want to lead are suffering. You cannot say you want to be a leader by killing the people to become a leader. Even if you have ruled Rivers State as a former governor, you are now the FT minister, you have no stake there. Still think of the people. Even seeing who is there, who is the current governor, through opportunity, you are privy to be the governor. Do your best to ensure. Dedicate your challenges to God, and God will fight for you. I don't want to say rely on your people who are also supporting, but depend on God, and God will take. But if the people, the worldly people, feel that they are too powerful, that they can meander, that they can manipulate and do anything, God will still judge them. Some people, I want to believe that in this our current generation, some of us, some people will be on this earth, suffer the nemesis, the repercussion of all the atrocities they are injecting into our political system. Because Nigerians, this is not the reason why we decided to go into democracy. This is not. From afar and from what we read about democracy, we are not practicing democracy. We are practicing democratic rulers or democratic rule in our system. So our leaders, please, I'm begging, please allow democracy to play so that the young generation will learn what is true democracy. Our next generation, because the youth are learning. What are you telling the youth now? You are a former governor, you are a governor, you are a former minister, you are a minister, you are a former president. With this character you are displaying, what are you trying to tell us? We should learn from other neighboring countries. We should learn from other developed nations, where we even borrow the politics from, where we borrow the democracy from. We should learn from them, because we must prepare the youth to take over. We cannot say the youth are the futures of tomorrow. And whereas we are giving them a wrong impression on how to. Now there is a serious syndrome in Nigeria, get richer, get rich syndrome. Though this get rich syndrome is creating a lot of confusion in this country, where you see a young boy of 14 years, 15 years, 20 years want to be involved in all sorts to ensure that he gets rich at a tender age. How will he manage his wealth? How will he manage his life? How will he manage his way? So we are gradually derailing. Our leaders should guide us properly.
All right, so what are your final words to leaders in Rivers State? Your final words to them, how this crisis can be resolved?
How it can be resolved, yes.
Well, my call on the leaders of Rivers State, irrespective of ethnic group, irrespective of political affiliation, irrespective of political parties you belong, you are a Rivers man, a Rivers woman who have the opportunity to become a leader. Please have a second thought. Okay. Neutralize yourself and find a better ways to resolve this issue. You people should come together. See beyond sin. See beyond his mistake. See beyond Wike. See beyond Wike mistakes. forgive and forget come together. Even we continue to offend God on daily basis. On daily basis, all of us who are living today, we continue to offend God on daily basis. But we ask for his mercy, we ask his forgiveness every day. And God, in his infinite mercy, forgive us. So talk less of we as human beings. Let us forgive and forget. So let the leadership of River State, the leadership of the Niger Delta, the leadership of the political parties involved should please shut their sword. They should shut their sword and embrace peace for the interest of the common Rivers people and the Niger Delta at large.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful one. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Beyond the Headlines. It was great having you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Comrade Sharif Molade, who is the human and environmental rights activist, and he has been able to do justice to the rivers crisis. But joining us further, we will be having someone who is deeply rooted in River State politics, in the person of Ambassador Sobomamo Jakri, popularly known as Igberi Papa, from his time as a governorship candidate under the National Rescue Movement to leading the Simplicity Movement. He has remained a vocal and unwavering supporter of Governor Siminalayi Fubara as the impeachment crisis unfolds. He shares his take on the political storm shaking the state. Stay tuned for an unfiltered discussion. Meanwhile, you can also be a part of this conversations by calling our lifeline, call in our studio to contribute or discuss whatever you have to say regarding the issues on ground. So right away, we will be calling him now. So we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be having Ambassador Sobomamo on the phone. Welcome back. It's still beyond the headlines on Gbaramatu Voice TV, and we've been talking. Before we went on break, we were talking to a previous guest who said so much about the Rivers crisis, talking about Chief Sheriff Molade. Yes, we talked about the impeachment and the role of the judiciary in all of this, and of course, the way forward in Rivers State. Now, joining us further in this conversation is Ambassador Sobomabo Jackridge, who is popularly known as Egberi Papa. Now, he will be giving us insights more on the Rivers crisis, as he is in Rivers State. So I think he's one of the best persons to tell us more on this. And if you want to join us on this conversation, please do well to call live our numbers, and we will be able to take your calls. Meanwhile, you can also drop your comments on our social media platforms. Yes. Hello. Hello.
I think the network.
We're really sorry about that. Yes. Okay, we're really sorry for the break in transmission. I think it's a network, and shortly we will get to him. Yes, we'll be talking more on the political crisis in Rivers State. What's at stake? How is the government taking the impeachment? Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. My name is Agogo, and this is Beyond the Headlines on Gbaramatu Voice TV, sir. Hello,
Your name
sir.
is what?
I said you're welcome to Gbaramatu Voice TV, and this is Beyond the Headlines, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Sorry, before moving forward, please, can you reduce your volume, the volume of the set you're using to viewers? Can you lower it down a bit?
Okay,
Reduce it.
Because there is a playback, sir.
It is done.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Yes, and I'm sure I'm on to Ambassador Sobomabo Jackridge, Egberi Papa 1. Yes, so the first question we have for you is with the political tension in Rivers State at all-time high. What's your take on the unfolding impeachment, sir? Hello, sir.
Well, the impeachment is does not hold ground, because it is actually the major plan. You know, if you remember that the first time when they came after from Abuja, from the president, what they intended to do was to impeach the governor. The question is, at that time, what was the reason why they want to carry out impeachment on him? But that failed. They came back again now. They said they want to also commence impeachment again. Let me remind you now, few days ago, is it a week ago, they said we are going for recess for 6 weeks. And we saw it, and I heard that they have gone for recess 6 weeks. They later came back in 3 days and came back again and did some actions again. And then they came back again to amend some laws after going for recess. It was not even after a week they came back, they did that. So what they have in mind was actually to impeach the governor so that the Martin Amewule could take over, maybe at the end become governor. That is the concept. Now the truth is that the governor's disposition is a peaceful one, because they know that he is very peaceful, they know that he is very sincere, and his kind of leadership is such that it has endeared people to him. They just want to continue to frustrate him. Like yesterday I said something, I said, their paymaster, who is the Adolf Hitler of Rimukrikom, whatever he decides is what they say. If not such people who does not have the morals, people who have come out on air to say they have defected from one party to the next, they went to take a sworn affidavit. And all of a sudden, these people came back to say, no, they are not defected again. They are now wanting to impeach the governor. You can imagine all these things. Well, all these things is coming from the judiciary, because the judiciary that is supposed to be the hope of a common man, the judiciary, now, in fact, the people have lost hope from the judiciary, because the judiciary is the one that is creating this crisis right now, because the judgment that the judiciary released was centered on what they are supposed to address. these things wouldn't have happened.
Now, some people believe that this crisis is a fallout between, power struggle between Nyesom Wike and the current governor, Governor Fubara. Do you agree with that?
No, because it is not. Because let me give you an example. Governor Fubara is very calm, a very responsible man. Now, Wike brought him because he believes that Fubara will do everything he says. Just like when he was serving him as a secretary, as an accountant, he did all he says. Remember, that Wike was the governor. But right now, whatever Wike asked him to do, he will do. But right now, he is the governor. Wike expected him. Because Wike stole all Rivers people's money. There was a time Wike signed, I withdraw from bank, 218 billion. So all those kind of outrageous things. And Wike went scot-free because he was able to convince the EFCC, he was able to manipulate the ICPC, and then he left. Wike expected Siminalayi Fubara to perform like that. That you stole and left and you were not caught doesn't mean the other man will not be caught. The man said, at the end, I'll be the one to answer to these questions. At the end, I'll be the one the EFCC will invite. So there are some things he will not be able to do. These are the problem. It is not a power play. It is just that I am the one holding the red Bible and I will not do some things. So please, don't do these things or don't compel me to do what I'm not going to do and leave me to lead. Leave me to lead the people. Let me deliver the dividends of democracy on the people. That is just it. The Wike believes that he's exposing him so much. He believes that he's not loyal as he wanted.
So what do you think is the end game for those pushing for this impeachment right now, sir?
Is it just a mere talk or it's actually going to stand?
Well, like I told you, look at the flaws, look at this thing. Because there is no such impeachment. All they are doing is a caricature of themselves. They have, number one, do they have the locals? Do they have the standing? Are they qualified to impeach him? Your party have said you have left your party. So on which platform are you even impeaching the governor? Have you gone to clarify yourself on that? Secondly, you said you're going for 6 weeks recess. Have you gone for the 6 weeks and come back? That you're coming back to begin to impeach the governor? Let them impeach him. We are waiting for them to finish the impeachment process. Let them impeach him. It is dead on arrival. They can't.
Now,
the governor will not be impeached. They will only do whatever they want to do. He will not be impeached. And River State, there will be no crisis in River State. What they want to achieve is to create anarchy. In fact, their fear is the forthcoming election, the forthcoming LG elections. Because they know they don't have the followers. They know the people have left them. Everybody has moved to him because of his disposition, because of the developmental stride he has introduced in River State. They don't have any stand again. All they want to do is to create anarchy, so that River State will be in turmoil. Then they can now begin to make their ways.
Yes, now recently the federal government withheld a River State allocation. Now, do you actually feel this is like a strategy to weaken the governor, the River State Governor Fubara?
Yes. The federal government withheld the allocations by the directive of the court, of the Supreme Court judgment. And remember, these days now, these judgments have been procured. And in fact, there are people who write judgments for them. These people believe that they have everything. Now, that allocation, it is actually to mar the election. It is actually to frustrate governance in the state. So that when the governor does not have access to resources, it will be limited in carrying out some very sensitive projects, just like that of the forthcoming election. It's a deliberate ploy, yes, actually, to make the governor don't have any cash to expend. When it does not have money to expend, where will the money, the resources come for projects? Where will the resources come for the salaries? That will now make the people go hungry and be subjected to to hunger, so that they will now forced to begin to see the governor as their problem.
Okay, so do you think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should step into this crisis, or is it based on state matters? What do you think the president should do?
What I think is that the governor is too good and too calm, but he should. There are constitutional provisions for the governor to operate. For example, that time we saw on air the State Assembly directing DSS to go arrest or investigate the chief judge. Chief judge. The question is, do they have that powers? If you look in the Constitution, in the Constitution of Nigeria, go through Section 130, subsection 2, you will see that it is stated clear that the president is the chief of commander of chief armed forces, and he has only the orders. He can give directive to the DSS, and then it comes down to the Constitution, Act of 176, Section 176, subsection 2 of the national law. You will also see that the governor was given that mandate to do such things. Now, whatever they are doing, it is a misstep. They are only doing this thing just to create that scenario of confusion. Now, now they don't have any such standing. Whatever they are doing today, it is a deliberate thing. Whatever the Supreme Court has ruled, it is deliberate because they wanted to actually frustrate the state and bring their court governors to limelight in such that they will influence more of the activities of the state. By that way, Fubara will now begin to beg because they know that he will not fight. They know that he's not ready to fight back. But the truth is that Siminalayi Fubara don't need to carry gun, does not need to do anything. He will only use the Constitution to fight back. He will go into the Constitution and he will begin to act. There are some certain provisions in the Constitution that give him power to act. It's just that he's not ready to use them. I know that at this point he will refuse because we cannot leave him to be impeached. So we will help him. We are all with him.
In fact, I'm talking about security. There have been threats from some militant group following the impeachment of Fubara.
And of course, the explosion.
Exactly. Now, do you think it is just a mere threat or is something that we should be concerned about?
Okay, one thing is that, like I said, everybody has the right of his opinion.
Yeah.
Now, these things, for me, I'm above this kind of thing. Everybody knows me that I'm a peace classist. I am not into such activities, and I will not want to talk about it. Why? Because I know that majority of the people who are making these threats are the same people who want to plunge the state into that anarchy. For example, Wike can do more. Wike has a strategy of setting up people to create this thing and make it look as if there is actually crisis in the state to attract the securities to themselves. For example, few days ago there was something in Calabar land. Wike came to Calabar after insulting the Indian nation. He now directed his tools to come and organize a grand reception for him in Calabar land. Is it that thanking him for insulting our people? Now, a place he came where the king of that place said no. He did not give them approval. All the custodian of the land said no, but they fought their way in with security agencies to do what they want to do and stood in our land, in your land, to humiliate and to disrespect the people. Such a callous-minded person. Wike is so desperate. Maybe people who do not know him, I know him, I've walked close to him, he knows me very well. I know what he can do. He has set up this structure to make it, but they will go about doing some things to make the federal government understand that there is actually a threat.
Right.
Me, I am one of the people securing these areas. And so we know what he can do. He will do worse than this. There is no such threat. I don't know about it.
So how would you assess the governor's response in handling all of this crisis in Rivers State? As a strong supporter of Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
If you need to see the quality of projects the governor is delivering.
Okay.
Now, this is the only time the state, for example, Trans-Calabari that is ongoing today. Do you know that for me, I thought earlier when Wike was still the governor, I was thinking that Trans-Calabari will be over 400 billion. Because whenever we talk about Trans-Calabari Road, he said cannot turn over 300 billion. As at that time when dollar was still even at 5 something to 400, 500. He said all that. But today, Transcarbon Road project has been awarded and the work is in progress for 200 and something billion. That is to tell you that this is the kind of government the people want. Not to inflate prices, not to overblow the cost of projects. Now, these are the reasons why the governor and the former governor is scared. This man has come out to expose so many things. The quality of project he's delivering is second to none, and his lifestyle is different. This other man is arrogant, and that is why we call him the Adolf Hitler of Rumupricum. He wanted everybody to lick his seat. He wanted everybody to do only what he says. Whatever he does not say, just his stand. That is, we have gone above that. Me, I work with him, and I saw his lifestyle. I left him while he was still in the first term. It's when I left him. I left him for good. And that is my life, because I don't indulge in things that will not encourage me. I'm a child of God, and I don't go into this kind of, the evil practices. That man is evil. The government should identify him. They should know he's evil. Already he has said he has directed people to arrest me. They want to assassinate me. This has been going on, threatened, but I won't keep silent. If you talk, he go die. If you not talk, he go die. So what is the essence? But one thing I am confident is that God will take my life only when God wants me to live, not man. He cannot take my life.
Do you see any possibility, of reconciliation between Fubara and Wike? Following the crisis that has been happening, do you sense any?
Listen. No, for me, I will tell you that it is not between Fubara and Wike. The reconciliation should be between the legislative and the executive, because Wike is a former governor. Why will he be disturbing the man? The state legislative should leave their pride and go and meet the governor and let them sort things out. The governor has invited them, they refused to come. He wrote to them, they deliberately denied, refused to accept the letters. He wrote even the second time. The next thing they said they are going for another 6 weeks, recess. So you can imagine this tries to tell you that somebody is directing them. Somebody has said no. And until that person says yes, it will not be. But the governor has powers to override some things also. So I think that there will be time. But whatever they are doing, like I told you, look at all look at how they started. They started in a wrong note. What happened that they want to impeach him the first time previously? What happened? It is now they are saying misappropriation or whatever. The governor is too good. And if we miss him, remember what happened between Goodluck and us. Goodluck was so good, we said, no, God is good. Until God brought people like Buhari, and then today we are facing the next. So, this man, I can liken him to the leadership of Goodluck Jonathan. That is the kind of quality he possesses. Nobody in this state has died, no bloodshed, up to this day. If it were them that we are the governor, by now, many people would have relocated to abroad. That is how they are. So, they should come down and listen to the governor, tell him what they want, discuss with him, let him do the presentation. The judgment said, let him represent the budget to you. And he has come to say he wants to represent it, and you're running for himself. What do they really want?
Okay, sir. So, although you talked about, Wike's capabilities in doing certain things and undoing, but still following the explosion that rocked the Trans-Niger pipeline in Boko Gokana, what's your immediate reaction? Do you think what is your reaction on this in clear terms, sir?
It is highly condemned.
Okay.
It is disheartening that at this modern world, at this 21st century, what we should be doing is to think of destroying our own oil installations. It does not make sense. That is the problem the Ogoni is facing right now. Why they are talking about going to do what they call clean up. Now, what I said earlier, if you remember, I said, Wike can do worse than that. Because he wanted to paint it. He does not have the followers. So what he wants to do is to bring confusion so so that the government, he has these people in different places. They will not use security agencies to begin to resort innocent Nigerians, innocent pro-Sim supporters, in such that they will begin to flee away from the land, and then, or sometimes some of them will now end up joining him, then he will now let them be. The government should investigate if there is an explosion. Who are the people who carry out this explosion? Definitely it's not the governor, or it should be the same people who are wanting these things to happen this way.
Okay, sir. So if the impeachment process, if the impeachment process go on, what is the way forward for the simplicity movement?
We are, as I said to you, we are going about mobilizing people. We are confident. We are confident in the governor, and we know that if all people are standing behind him, just go and see the civil servant in the states. In fact, you will see that the people, despite this money sees, they are saying they will stand behind the governor. So this is a governor that have shown the people love. And so that is why we have the new simplicity movement. We are here to compliment him, to strengthen him. We are still going about mobilizing people, winning more people to him. You know, what these people, the message the people spread is negative narratives. So we are going about changing the narratives, winning more people to him. And we wanted this governor to contest for 2027, and he's going to be the governor again. Yes, this is the first time the job people have attained this position. And the job people are doing the best. And nobody will cut our own leadership short, especially when we are giving the leadership to the state.
So, finally, sir, what are your words, your advice to the people of Rivers State, leaders in Rivers State following this crisis?
My advice is first, the generation of the state, the people of the state, they should be resolute. They should be resilient. They should take away fear from the midst and continue to stand behind the governor. Secondly, I want to advise every other person who have decided to tow the path of crisis, tow the path of unrest, to desist from it and give the chance so that Rivers State can thrive, so that development can be very visible in the state.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. We appreciate you being on Beyond the Headlines. Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, good.
Appreciate it.
Yes, so we've been speaking with Comrade Shari. We've been speaking with Ambassador Sobomabo Jackridge, who is popularly known as Egberi Papa. Yes, so he is the person currently now supporting the Governor Fubara's administration, and he has been able to tell us his take on the impeachment process, the judiciary, and the political crisis in Rivers State. So we would like to check your comments. I hope you've dropped so many comments here. We want to talk about your comments here. What's your reaction on all of this?
Okay, all right. Moving forward to the comment section, this is actually one of the interesting parts as well, because you get to see people's opinion on the issue. All right.
Do we have comments there?
Yes, I think we do.
Okay, so
coming just a little bit of network.
So in case you've not dropped your comment, please do well to do so. So we read it out. Now imagine the audience getting to hear your point of view. It's amazing, right? So quickly drop your comments in the comment section. It's still Beyond the Headlines on Gbaramatu Voice TV, reaching you live from the Niger Delta Media Center here in Ogunu, Warri Delta State.
Okay. All right. I have so many questions here. Coming from Greatness, Henry, saying, "Na the masses go suffer Naija no now too bad." Okay, talking about the river crisis. Likewise, that's coming from Greatness, Henry. Usio is saying a word is enough. Yes, that's coming from Usio. Now, Don Ebiri is saying wicked things and also said that it is our brother and leader, COG, Government Ompolo, is the contractor for the surveillance contract, so the Niger Delta youth cannot do anything. But again, concerning this pipeline that is blow up is the handwork of Wike and his boys, because he said it earlier that everybody has the mind to blow up pipeline, and he's doing it to create state of emergency for Rivers State, and let him know that he and his lawmakers will run out of the state.
But I hope I hope you have evidence backing that, sir.
All right, that is from Ibiri. Now, okay, I also have a comment here from Christopher. Wike said that, who told you, in quotes, who told you that only Ijo can blow pipeline? During his media chats of recent, he should be called and answer what he meant by the statement. And now pipeline vendors has resumed. Maybe they are just testing it to show the world that anybody can blow up pipeline. That is coming from Christopher. All right, okay, I think that is all I have for now.
All right, thank you so much for that. We'll have a breaking news, but we'll go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll give you the breaking news. Please don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's still Beyond the Headlines on Gbaramatu Voice TV, reaching you live from the Niger Delta Media Center here in Ogunwari Delta State. If you're just joining us, we have a developing story that is sending shockwaves across Rivers State and the Niger Delta region. And it's the breaking news: massive protests as Ijaw youths shut down East-West Road in support of Governor Fubara. This morning, hundreds of Ijaw youth have taken over the strategic East-West Road in a massive demonstration to declare their support for the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The protesters, chanting solidarity songs and carrying banners, are demanding that the political crisis in the state be resolved in favor of the governor. Reports reaching us indicate that traffic has come to a complete standstill, with commuters stranded and security operatives moving to assess the situation. Protesters insist that they will not back down until their demands are met, warning against any external interference in the governance of Rivers State. This development follows the ongoing political turbulence in the state, with impeachment threat against Governor Fubara and increasing tensions between different political factors. Stay tuned with us as we bring you the latest updates and expert analysis